Good afternoon, everybody. It's me, Dan. I am your host. This is NuPath Live. You know what we're doing here today. We are celebrating our fantastic staff. We're staying connected with our NuPath family, our families, people from our community that care about NuPath, um, and uh, and we're honoring our staff in ways to remind ourselves how we are nothing without all the heroes on the front lines and helping us run this organization. Now, today, we are going to hear from two staff. One was recorded yesterday, and the other one we'll do at the second half. But before we do that, I want to tell you a quick little story. This took place 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks on Saturday. It was July 3rd to be exact, and it was a rainy Saturday morning. And I got a text from a friend and colleague named Deidre Hunter, who is oversees all of JRI's programs. And this is what she said. Hi, Dan. Look what I was behind on Route 2 this AM this morning. They were driving within the limit very safely. Great to see our folks out and about. And that is probably the biggest part, that even though it was a rainy Saturday, the guys were out anyway. And I said, of course, what van is that? Because I want to know. And so it is Van 91. Now, big thanks to everybody that was there. And if anybody from that vehicle is able to email Judy Miskell before the end of this broadcast, everyone who was in that vehicle at that time will get a $100 Visa gift card. All right. So if you know somebody that could be driving, or you yourself were in that van, let Judy know. And we want to honor that. We want to reward that. Now, there is one small thing before we move on. You'll see that it needs a new tail light. So hopefully that's been fixed by now. But Jalev, if you're listening, can you check to make sure? All right. And then this morning, the good will for transportation and our driving skills continued when I was driving into work from across Woburn, and I got behind Van 6, which I hear is a loaner, because if you're watching this, you're going to think all of our fleet looks like this. Yeah, that person drove perfectly. Perfect stops within the speed limit, courteous. And I said, who is that? And I determined that driver was Mr. Joseph Magandazi, who works as part of our autism programs. If Joe or anybody else that was in that vehicle this morning emails Judy before the end of this broadcast, everyone that was in that vehicle is going to get a $100 gift card. Okay. Transportation is critical. We don't hear about it much. It's like one of those things where if everything's going smoothly, you don't know it's there. But there's such a critical and vital link. And I'm proud to be part of this organization when I see my vehicles behaving properly on the road, even though they've got a tail light out and dents, and they both look like they could use a car wash. All right. We're going to move right into the first staff interview, and it was pre-recorded yesterday. Let's watch that now. All right. So one of my favorite parts of my job is the chance to get to know some of our different staff as they come on board. And if they stay around a while, is to see them grow and grow in many different professional dimensions, how they interact with the rest of the NuPath family, how they make their mark on this organization. Because after all, we're a diverse group of people, and lots of us are coming from different points of view and perspectives. And one of these people that has been kind of become a special person in the NuPath family is Mr. Joe Veneziano. When he comes on, I'll see if I said that right. Joe has been with us now for, well, it'll be almost 6 years. They tell me in December. He came to us when he was as an intern, when he was doing his work, I guess, towards his BCBA. I think we should ask Joe to come on and talk to him about his special talent. There he is. Hey,
Hi,
Joe V.
how are you?
You?
I'm doing
Now,
good. How are you?
Veneziano.
Close enough.
Not how you would say it if you were preferring it. So maybe I'll
Yeah.
just call you Joe V and not pretend that I'm not Italian.
Yeah.
Even though I'm married to one. Okay. You are. Let's see. How would we describe you? You're an interesting, beloved, talented, quirky. Would we assign that to you?
Yeah, sure.
Interesting guy. One of the ways that one of the biggest awards that you can receive, in my opinion, at NuPath, is the prestigious Peacock Award, and this is an award that's where people vote, people that are in the on the leadership team. That we host our monthly meetings, and it's something that we've had a long tradition of doing. They're usually people that have left their mark. We call it the prestigious peacock because we talk about a person who's really shared their glorious colors with the world and made the space brighter for their being there. And you received the prestigious peacock a couple of years ago. You've been really involved and connected with people. You've worked out of Westford. You are the assistant director, I think, in clinical services, if I got your title correct. Um, and you care deeply about the academic, sort of underpinnings of the behavioral work that we're doing. I wish you'd talk to us a little bit about your entry into NuPath. Maybe fill people in that don't know you about how you came to our organization and what it's been like for you over these past nearly 6 years. I can't believe it's been 6 years.
Well, yeah, so I actually started interning in May of 2015. Uh, so I decided that I just needed a bit of a change when it came to the populations I was serving. I was always really interested in working with adults with developmental disabilities. That started when I was around 18 years old, when I started working at Camp Fatima up in New Hampshire, their special needs
Yep.
week. So it was something that just really connected with me. And I'm, I've always been really drawn to this population because this population tends to get a lot less attention than children do. So
It's true.
it's just my thought is that adult services needs good people and needs good people to help empower our clients in order to advocate for themselves. So coming in, I thought I'd be here for 3 months, and it's turned into 6 years and counting.
Yeah.
So it's been a very, very interesting it's been a very, very interesting journey, to say the least.
To say the least. I love that you talk about adult services needing good people. And I had a similar experience when I began working with the population many years ago. A young person just out of college, never planned, a career in
Mhm.
this field, fell into it quite accidentally. But almost from the first day, I just found this amazing capacity for wanting to help improve the lives of people and I've in my career had the experience of when I first started we were still dealing with getting people out of institution. We've seen the positive behavioral kind of approach just evolve so much over the years. And so the procedures, the clinical procedures that we use are much more grounded in theory and in academic research. And you certainly have brought that to our organization. You took your BCBA test while you were working with us, is that right?
Yes, yes, that's true.
I should say exam because a test is something you study for the night before. An exam
No,
is
no, I studied for this one for a year.
I bet you did. And was it hard?
No,
It wasn't?
not really.
Are you a good test taker?
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
That's part of it. Well, I'm glad it wasn't well, you said it wasn't difficult. I'm sure you were prepared for it, which is why you did so well. And since then, you've been the assistant clinical director under Matt Johnson.
Yes.
I can think of no better supervisor to have practically within the organization. What's it been like to work with Matt, be part of the team, learn from him, and what have you enjoyed about it? And maybe if there's something that you haven't enjoyed as much, I don't know if you feel like telling us.
Well, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect coming in. So my curiosity when I was actually sitting there in the front room before I'd actually met Matt was, what is this guy going to look like? Because most BCBAs are these young women with long hair, very feminine, things like that. So when I see this hard-looking bald guy with a goatee come down the stairs, I'm just like, what did I just get myself into? Anyway, I mean, I learned very, very quickly that Matt would be somebody who would really just let me do and let me figure things out and gave me a pretty loose rein, which is a really good thing for me because I need to be able to figure things out on my own. Um, and over time, we've developed just, I feel, a really strong working relationship. He's always been very, very understanding of just a lot of different things. We can talk about most anything. He's been very supportive in just the projects that I've done and just the initiatives that I'll take, and that's something that's just really, really comforting to me. We still prod each other, which is always fun. It's always good to have a boss like that. Um, yeah, so
No,
it's
it
just
keeps you honest. It keeps you focused. It keeps you
yes.
on your game. Um, what would be an example of? I mean, this maybe is hard if you can't answer it. We're recording this the day before NuPath Live because you're not able to join us tomorrow. But what would you say would be one of your proudest achievements in designing some sort of an intervention or a procedure for somebody that was having some challenging behaviors that worked in a way that exceeded your expectation, or something that was particularly difficult that you've had some success with? Is that a hard question, or do you have an example?
I mean, it can be a challenging question sometimes because you don't see progress right away. That's just really not how things work. But when you see somebody go above and beyond what you're expecting of them, that's always something that's really great. And it's like, oh, I didn't teach this, and this person is actually doing this. I can step back a little bit more. So there are a lot of things like that. I'm also just particularly proud of. Some of the staff trainings and the orientation things that I've done because I've definitely seen vast improvements in just interactions in really understand and in staff really understanding just the fact that our clients are autonomous individuals, enabling them to say no and decline when they wish to, things like that. Just really developing that understanding of self advocacy as a really important goal for just our clients in general.
I think you said something important there that, in this field, you have to learn to look for affirmations in lots of different ways because you don't always get this dramatic, sort of ROI on something, some investment that you've made into something. And yet and one of the ways I hear it loud and clear is when I hear comments from family members regarding their loved one that may be attending our program. And it seems to me, I just had this memory not that long ago where we were hearing from some family, some person that was out of our Westford program that was talking about how much they'd opened up since attending the program. They'd come home and instead of going to their room every night, they'd actually come out and join in with the family and were participating in their routines. And they accredited that change to his experience in our program and how the skills that we can help people build through NuPath, and even if they're living at home, they could have impact across settings. Have you had a chance to see that happen?
To a certain extent, it's just you just see shifts in just how people really react to other people, and a lot of it just has to do with staff interaction and a lot of things like that. So even seeing smiles
Mm-hmm.
and people that you haven't seen a lot of smiles before, those are definite markers of
Yeah.
improvement and markers of just, hey, we're doing the right thing here. So
Have you seen any post-traumatic stress disorder from the pandemic or residual? Have you seen people that have that you feel have suffered through it that are having to reacclimate to life, shoulder to shoulder with people again, or has it been not so bad?
I mean, everybody has to try and reacclimate in some way or another. So we've seen some people slowly warm up and reacclimate to things, but but usually that really hasn't been a very long period. So
Well, the
it's
human beings are
something that's really encouraging.
sometimes we're more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. And
Yes,
what
that's true.
shocks me is how you can get used to doing you can get used to just about anything. I mean, I never thought I'd get used to putting the mask on, and I still feel a little naked sometimes when I'm getting out of my car and heading into a store. Um, Joe, you were tapped a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it's more than that now, to assist NuPath with a really important initiative that we have been sometime in planning, and that is for our DEI, or Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I asked you to do that because of your broad reach. You're highly respected among your peers. Many people know you. You're a smart guy, and I think I feel like you have a real kind of connection with issues around real diversity, equity, and inclusion. Can you give us a little bit? I know that we're just starting out, and we're still got a lot of work to do, but just so that people are aware of what's happening with the new path, talk to me a little bit about this new initiative and how you're kind of looking at getting this off the ground and making and seeing some success come from it regarding our diversity and equity and inclusion.
So my big thing right now is really building the scaffolding of what we're going to be doing. Coming up with some short-term goals, some long-term goals, coming up with mission and vision statements. Um, Other things that I'm working on are just how meetings are going to be conducted. I'm looking for co-chairs as well because I think it's important to not have a sole chair of a diversity, equity, and inclusion board. That's really more my opinion than anything else. Really just going through different research on DEI, what other boards have been doing in similar organizations. So those are the real big things right now. In terms of having a full agenda, I don't think it's really proper for me to have a full agenda of this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, because I'm going to need to hear from other people. I'm going to need to hear from staff throughout this entire company before coming up and solidifying those initiatives.
Hmm.
So I have a few things in mind, but those could change because I shouldn't be the one holding all of the power.
Right, right. I think that for some people, the whole purpose behind this committee still remains a little bit unclear, in the sense that there's so much of our language, our very mission in being dedicated to some would argue some of our most vulnerable citizens, the most vulnerable people that can't always be good self advocates, or they're not articulate their frustrations, their wants, their needs, their desires, and so on. But we're an organization that is sort of predicated on these values that our six core values of community, unity, belonging. These are all kind of connected to the inclusivity, in my opinion. So there's some that say, why do we need this? We're already a diverse organization. We already are trying to achieve equality for everybody, including our clients with disabilities. How is this going to be different? What do you see us doing here that's gonna stand out on its own?
So one of the things that I'm planning on are just increasing neurodiversity initiatives. So neurodiversity, the basic definition is that conditions like autism, ADHD, and other neurological conditions are natural human variations that should be accommodated, and instead of trying to cure them or eradicate them. So that's predicated on a more social model of disability that really defines disability as a mismatch between a person's skill sets and the demands of their environment. So in the past, we focused a lot more on what's called a medical model of disability, that disability is something that's internal to a person. So moving towards understanding how there are aspects of society that that can cause disability in a person is something that we're going to really need to be aware of moving forward. We need to be aware of, oh, there are no things like there are no curb stops, or this building isn't accessible, and this is causing a problem for this person. Also, things like, oh, there are too many fluorescent bright lights in this building, and that's causing some of our clients to just have issues.
Mhm.
So identifying those things in the environment which make things harder for the people that we serve, and changing them and making things more equitable for those people is going to be really important. So basically, what I want to do is just to try and reframe how we look at disability. Instead of seeing it as something that's just internal to a person, we need to understand disability as minority. So people that have been minoritized, people that have experienced depression, just like with racism, with sexism, we have to talk about ableism as well.
Mhm. So there's a lot of ways that this is going to be, oppression, something that's meaningful, and I think we're all going to learn a lot through this deeper level of introspection as we go forward. Joe Veneziano, you're fantastic. I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining us on the NuPath Live, and I hope we have many, many, many more years with you someplace in our firmament. So. Thanks for all you do, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, Joe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Yes, more than you probably knew about our clinical department from Joe. Now we're going to move right on to our second guest, and this is Alexa. Alexa began with the organization. It will actually be 7 years in August. She was hired as a life coach about 4 years ago, was promoted to rehab manager here at 147. She's spoken at our 2017 annual celebration and did a magnificent job. I've got a few more nice things to say, but let's bring her on so we can embarrass her together by telling her how great she is. There she is. Hi, Alexa.
Hello. Hi.
We missed you.
Oh, I missed you guys too.
Did you see on that slide, that one, what I put up there? The mountains are calling
Mountains. Yeah.
and I must go.
Yeah. I don't know. Can you see in my background? I've got my adventure painting that you had given me a few years back. So I brought that with me.
Many years ago, we had this discussion, and you're a lover of nature, you're a lover of hiking, you'd like to be in the mountains. You and your husband, or you do that sort of thing and go on kind of these adventure vacations, don't you? Sort of, and I've never forgotten that. I'm thinking, okay, now Westford is calling, you must go. You you had to leave us, and responding to this kind of higher calling, growth, development, all of that. I want to hear how things are going up there, but let me finish the nice things that are said about you. So, from supervisors, of course, I could have put this together myself, but kind-hearted, dedicated, organized, passionate. You hate this, don't you?
A little bit.
You take time to listen to people. You support them. You are a fantastic team player. And this is the thing that I was just saying a moment ago. Eager to learn and expand your knowledge in the field. You've got the respect of your peers and the managers, directors, leadership of the organization. You're known as somebody who's willing to, get your hands in there and do whatever it takes. And you've grown so much and matured in such a powerful way. It is really great to see you and hear that you're doing so well. What did you say? You said to Brian before you.
I told him I was gonna tell everyone that he locks me in at night, so I can't go back to New Boston Street.
Help! Somebody let me out! Free Alexa.
The door locks from the outside.
Yeah. That's what we'll have to do. You you came to us through, I think it was a referral through your uncle, who happens to be Scott Hagan, who is on our board of directors now and has been connected with NuPath for a very long time. Shout out to Scott. Talk to us about what it's been like for you and how your experience has been kind of coming in and 7 years later, just continuing to move forward in the organization.
Yeah, so when I first started, I honestly had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I was kind of like a shock to me because I had come from um, more of like a psychiatric crisis type of job, and then coming here, and I honestly fell in love with it very quickly. I love this population. They're so fun to work with, and I've actually learned a lot about myself. Very like patience that I didn't know I had, and just like the silliness that I didn't know I had, and those kinds of things that I've learned about myself over these past few years have been really great. And my ambition, knowing like all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, I want to grow. And then all these opportunities that I've had through NuPath, and I've really appreciated all those. And yeah, I've really enjoyed my time here, and I hope to continue on and continue to grow and grow the relationships that I've made here and learn more about myself. So
I wish we could have a side by side of you when you first started, and you look at you. I mean, I'm just looking at you. You're just so poised and just like you don't seem the least bit nervous. You're like, get out of that seat. I'm coming for you. You're probably thinking,
oh good, I'm glad it comes off that way.
oh, so maybe it's not. You're
That
just
must have been something I learned
hey,
along the
fake it till you make it.
way.
That's what they say. Um, to know that you have first of all, I'm thrilled when somebody that's joined us at a certain level grows within the organization, because the big fear is that somebody's going to come and snatch you away, and they still probably will at some point. I hope they don't, but we nevertheless want to grow talent at NuPath. And I know you've talked about Amy Montessori as being a mentor and somebody that's taught you a lot, but it proves that when we invest in our employees and we really help them to learn, and if they wish to grow within the organization, there are opportunities for that. I mean, you've taken the skills that you learned from Amy and others and you put them to use in Westford. Talk to us about how different your job is in Westford, or how things, because every place has its own personality. What's it like up there? So many great
Yeah.
people up there.
So that's something that I learned very quickly was how different the sites are. And not that either one is worse or better, it's just very different. And I think part of it was I was so comfortable at New Boston Street because I had been there for so long that the hustle and bustle just kind of became background to me. So like I was used to just going, going, going and being on my toes and ready for anything. And here it's like everyone is very like it's like taking a deep breath, and it's just kind of like it's not that it's better or worse, but it's definitely like a different. I had to kind of adjust. Like I'm like, okay, Alexa, you can walk slower. You don't have to jump at every like you can, and that's been different. And I think like the amount of individuals that I was so used to right now, obviously, because we're not at full capacity, is smaller. So I've been able to get to know people a lot faster and on a deeper level, which when you're constantly exposed to 80 people every day, it takes a little longer. So I've really appreciated having that opportunity, especially, coming in new, they're getting to know me. Luckily, with the Zooms and running morning meeting, I was kind of had an idea of some of these guys who are more likely to, socialize with me that way. But then, just having that opportunity has been awesome, and I really appreciate that. So,
What would you really quickly, just have you for another minute, but what would you kind of advice would you give to somebody out there that maybe is thinking about applying for a job, but they don't know if they can do it or not? I mean, would you say it's worth the risk?
yes, I always say the worst that can happen is someone says no, or, you have to change something after you start. But if I hadn't taken the opportunity when I did at NuPath, I wouldn't know all these things that I've learned over the past 7 years. And I think it's 100% worth the risk. And as long as you're willing and learn, like open to learning, that you can be really successful and you can learn a lot. And I think it's always worth it to give it a shot.
So well said, Alexis Happen. Thank you so much for your time. For I know the end of the day is stressful, and you're probably like trying to manage a lot of different things. I'm sure that your new team love you already, and are probably so happy to have your presence there. I'm sure Brian's thrilled to have you there. As much as we miss you, we're so proud of you down here, and I want to thank you for your time. I hope you're gonna have a big party tonight, and all your family and everybody's gonna. Oh, they did
All
call.
right,
I
I'll
did call
let them
your
know.
uncle and tell him to watch. So, I told you he said he was gonna be watching you.
I'm sure he'll
Thank
call
you.
me as soon as we hang up.
Thank you, Alexa, for everything. Good luck and
Thank you for
many
having
more
me.
years. We'll see. Your sky's the limit for you.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. You know, it's so great to have employees that just make us shine. And it has been a hard 14, 16 months, guys, but look at us. We are coming back better, and our staff prove it. And we've gotten through this. I told you we got this. We got this. I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.